Okay, my last video, I cleaned the inside of this cabinet out, getting ready to put some shelves in for food storage in my galley. So I need to get a floor in here because I don't want to drop anything down in the bilge. So what I'm gonna have to do is I got a piece of plywood. I'm gonna cut it down. It's gonna go down here in the bottom, and that's looking straight down. And I need to cover that hole up, and so I need a board over that, and that'll be kind of like the floor to this cabinet here, and that'll be the bottom shelf, the bottom of the cabinet. It looks grungy down in there, but some of this stuff is insulation that's squirted out for the refrigeration, and then there's a big glob of stuff that look like dirt, but I think it's sawdust with a bunch of epoxy. I can maybe try chipping that out, but I don't know. I'll have to see if I can do that. But the board will go over the top of that anyway, I think. So, at any rate, it don't look real clean, but I wiped it all down good and scrubbed it, so it's cleaner than it actually looks. Okay, well, it's going along okay. My weight here is moving on me a little bit, but I'm going to go get my, put some earplugs in. It's pretty loud. You always want to protect your hearing and your eyesight. And what's nice about protecting your hearing is you put in earplugs and it cuts down on your stress level when you're using power tools. They're noisy, and that noise creates stress. So you'll be surprised how much stress you get running power tools if you put in earplugs. You know, you do it first without earplugs, and then you put in earplugs, you'll notice a big difference. So I'm gonna get my earplugs in. I'm using these foam earplugs, and they work good enough. And the vacuum cleaner is working pretty good. I'm getting a little dust on the bottom down here, but not so much up here on top. And that's usually where most of the dust comes off the blade. And when you're doing this, you just want to make sure when you're cutting, especially inside your boat, that you don't cut into any teak or anything. So make sure you got plenty of room for the saw blade. And I'm going to use my water bottles here for weight, I think, instead of my drill bits. Got a couple water bottles. I think they might work better. We'll see. I actually only have one water bottle. I'll put my drill bits back on here. Both of them on here. Okay. So it's cutting pretty easy. Okay, that worked out good. I was able to capture most of the dust in this area, confine it, and I vacuumed it all up. So the dust is all vacuumed up. That was easy. Now, I've got to cut it the other way. And then figure out there's going to be angle cut here in one corner because of the, like I said, the holes are rounded and they kind of sticks up a little bit on the side. So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to get that to fit down in there. But there's 18 inches. Now I got to go with 20 and a half. Okay, everything's clear underneath. Also, whenever you're using power tools, make sure that your legs and stuff are out of the way. You don't want to cut yourself, especially in your legs. There's an artery in your leg. If you cut it, you're going to die. Even if the paramedics show up, you're still probably not going to survive. So yeah, and electrical wires and cords, even the cord for the saw itself can get up underneath something and you can cut into it and then you can get electrocuted. So just be aware of what you're doing. You know, always take your time. Accidents happen when you get in a big hurry, so just don't be getting in a big hurry. I got 18.5 by 20.5, and now I'm going to put this down in there. This one corner is going to be up, so I'm going to have to cut this corner here, kind of round it off a little bit here. I'm going to have to figure out just exactly how much I'm going to have to cut off, because I want this, I just don't want anything going in the bilge. So that's all this is for. It's just to keep anything from falling in the bilge. So let's see how this fits. I'm gonna try smaller first and then make it bigger as I need to. I don't want to cut too much off at first, so I'm gonna make it a straight cut. I think I'm just gonna mark it straight. Usually I second guess myself and don't go with what my first impulse is, and usually my first impulse is always right. And then I'll second guess myself and decide, well, I'm going to try something different, and it's wrong. So yeah, if I would have went with my first drawing on here, it probably would have been pretty close to perfect, but I just got to make a little more rounded cut here, and it looks like the line, my first line that I drew, was pretty damn close. I'm just gonna adjust it a little bit. Okay, it looks pretty good. I think I'm going to live with it. On that rounded edge, as it goes down to this side over here, there's a bit of a gap, and anything real small could fall down and get in the bilge. So I don't want to risk trying to cut it some more, because I'm afraid I'm just going to end up with more gaps. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put a few wood screws and screw this down to hold it down. And then that one little area, it's just a little gap, and it's probably about 4 inches long and about a ½ inch wide. I'll just fill it with something, even if it's just silicone. That's a nasty word on a boat, by the way. I don't never like using silicone, but for something like that, it's fine. It's just going to keep anything from falling in the bilge. And but at any rate, so let's take a look and see what it looks like. There it is. And it just right along this edge down here on the side, down there in the bottom, there's a little bit of a gap it can fall into, but the rounded part up here on top is good. It's sealed. And so now lighten this up a little bit, and now nothing can really fall down in the bilge. So, and I got that board over there on the side now, behind that steel bar. And so now if I drop anything, then it won't go down in the bilge. So now I'm just going to put a few screws there, down into that wooden part that's underneath the plywood there to hold it down. And that's it. Then I can just set stuff down in here, whatever I want to store down here, probably like water bottles and heavy stuff like that, like to keep low in the boat. And now I got to go ahead and get these wires out of the way, I just want to cover over this with a white piece of panel that I got. The side, I won't have to paint it. And so I got to figure out what I'm going to do with these wires in this vent hole. I'm going to have to leave that. So I'm going to have to cut a hole in that panel. So that's for ventilation for my compressor, compressor and condenser for my refrigeration system is behind that wall there. And I need to keep that running cool. And so I got to move some of these wires out of the way. I'm going to put 2 more shelves in. So one up here, and plywood just like the piece I cut, and then another one midway, and then I can reach down under here and put stuff down below. So that should give me quite a bit more storage. And but I got that corner to go around there, so I'm gonna have to deal with that. And if that bar wasn't in the way, that steel bar, that stainless steel bar helps hold the deck down from the rigging, the stainless steel wire rigging. When you put tension on it, you have to tighten the rigging real tight on sailboats, and it causes the deck to puff up. What it does is it squeezes the sides of the hull, gets squished together, and it makes your deck pop up. And so normally on a keel stepped mast, which this is keel stepped, and this is the mast right here, and it goes all the way up and outside the boat, and way up there. That's the mast up there. And so it comes down through and inside here, and that's it right there. And then it goes down and stepped down towards the bottom of the keel, and then that bar there, that stainless steel bar, keeps the deck from puffing up from the tension of the rigging. And it'd be nice if that wasn't in the way, because I could store stuff around there. See, if I put a shelf in here, I don't know how I'm going to deal with that bar. I may just make the shelf go up to the bar and stop. So it'd be nice to be able to go and put stuff back behind there. I may figure something out. But at any rate, and I got my knot meter right there, and I'm going to have to pull those staples out and move that wire that's hanging down, the lower one, I think. Yeah, I'm going to have to move that out, just move it over. But that's no problem. And then I can get these shelves in here and get this project done. I'm really kind of tired of dealing with this. It's not, it's very awkward situation to deal with, and it's not a whole lot of fun. And it's hard to film because it's so cramped. And it's such nice weather right now. It's August, and I should be outside doing projects outside. This would have been a good winter project, but like I was saying before, yeah, I just need to get this mess here off of my galley table. I'm really tired of dealing with living like this. I just don't have no storage for food and stuff, and so this will take care of that, definitely. It's good to vacuum the dust up as soon as possible, because what happens if you don't vacuum it right away, and especially if you let it sit for a few days or a few weeks, it gets like stuck to everything. So the sooner you vacuum it up, the better. And that worked out good. I didn't make a big dusty mess all over. I kept it contained. And using a vacuum cleaner the same time that you're using a power tool works really good. You just want to be really careful. You're using both hands, and just be aware where your fingers are at, especially when you're cutting with a saw. You know, I'm into music and stuff, and I got to have my fingers to play music. So at any rate, so that looks good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So now I'm just going to see what I can do with these wires. Okay, let's go on up and check out my refrigeration unit up here. Okay, inside of here is my refrigeration. And it's kind of messy down there. That's my compressor back over there, that black thing. And then this silver thing is actually a stainless steel brewing pot out of a commercial coffee brewer. And that's what I do for a living. I'm a technician for a coffee company. And at any rate, there we go. So all my electronics are in there. So the electronic circuit board that controls my refrigeration is in there. And then and it's running right now. And then the where you see this copper tubing go around, that's the condenser there. That's what takes the heat out of the evaporator. That's the cold part that's inside the refrigerator. So at any rate, so I got to figure out what these wires are up about and get them out of the way for right now. So I'll probably have to unplug my refrigerator for a little bit while I'm figuring this out. Okay, this one here is for my DC power. So this refrigeration will run on AC or DC. And I can run off my lithium battery bank here. I don't have it hooked up yet, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to get this out of the way. Then I have my old power cord that I had, AC power cord that I had hooked up. And this is the AC power cord. This is the old one that was originally hooked up to the electrical panel, and I'm going to reconnect, not this one, I'm going to use the other one. The other one that I got hooked up and running right now will get hooked up to my AC electrical panel. And I'm going to see if I can figure out what that little tiny wire was about. Oh, I just figured it out. Okay, I used to have a fan right here in this vent, and that was to run this fan. It's not working anymore. It's burned out, and I really don't need it. So that's what that wire was about. So yeah, there's a fan right here. I don't know if I can pull it out this way. I have to go back out the other way. Okay, that figured that out. So I got all the wires figured out. So now I can go ahead and only one. It's this one. Let's see if I can get this. Move this DC power cord out of the way. For right now, I got it in here, so I should be able to get it out. And that's all I have to get out of here is the DC one out of the way, the old AC out of the way, and the AC one that's running it right now has got to be moved, just unplugged and out of the way for right now. I can run it back through this vent hole when I get my other panel on the side put in. So anyway, I'm gonna see if I can get this DC one out. Okay, so I had a zip tie on here, and it was coiled up, so I uncoiled it. So hopefully I can pull this out back throughout. I think that's how I got it in here. So this is the DC power cord. I should be able to get this out no problem. There it is. There's the DC power cord. It's out. And so that's one wire out of the way. And it'll get reinstalled later when I hook it up to my battery bank. Okay, next. Okay, so here's the vent tube. And I have a fan there on the end of it. And the fan burned up. It's not working, I don't think. It feels like the bearings are shot. Yeah, it's real hard to move. Yeah, it just loosened up. It may still work, but I don't think I need it. And now I'm just gonna pull this out. And that should be all of the wires out of the way. And this just comes right through the vent hole anyways, which I'm probably gonna go ahead and put another vent hole in there. So for right now, I'm just gonna put this wire back down in here. And I'm gonna cover this back up so I don't fall down in it, which I've done before. Stepped down and fell down in there and stomped on my refrigeration unit. Not a good thing. That's all closed up. The wires are all out of the way. Now I can put the panel on the wall. So it's the same thing as the floor. I just got to measure and cut it out, put it in. It's really thin, so it'll be real easy to cut. Just put this out here. Okay, now you can see all the wires now are out of the way. There's no wires now at all in there. So I moved them all out. And so I'm going to take this piece of white paneling and I'm going to cut it out and put it against this wall and cover this whole wall with the paneling. So I think it's 18.5 inches, like the board on the bottom, but I'm going to remeasure. I'm going to remeasure it. I think it's 18.5 inches. I'm going to remeasure it and see exactly how I'm going to do this. It's probably tall enough to go all the way to the bottom. I don't know if I need to or not. Really, I don't need to, but I'll try to get as much of it covered as I can get covered, and so that'll make it all nice and even, and nice and a little cleaner looking in here too. But so this is like, I don't know, the 4th video now that I've made on this, just this cabinet. So you can see dealing with stuff on a boat, it's a lot of work. I mean, you think, okay, I'm just going to throw a couple shelves in here, no big deal, I can have it done in an hour. It just don't work. It just does not work like that. There's always stuff in the way. There's always, you're dealing with all kinds of different angles on a boat. Nothing's square. It's extremely rare to have anything that's square. Usually it's rounded or angled or something. So, and it's always complex angles. It's never just real simple. So, at any rate, this should be pretty easy though. So, as long as I can get the piece, I have to cut a piece as big as I can get it that'll fit through this opening. And that's what it's going to come down to here. So, I got to make some measurements and make my decision on what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to go 20.5 the long way first and see how far I can go as getting that piece in here. So 20.5 inches by 3 or 4 feet long. Probably won't be that long. Probably won't even be 3 feet because it has to go through this opening. Okay, so this is insulating foam that oozed out in the cracks when they built this boat and they put in the refrigeration unit. They used this foam. It was really interesting. I cut out a piece of an area. I had to remove some of the insulation on the refrigeration unit when I did my custom build. That compressor that you saw inside under the deck there, and the condenser, the compressor, and then that stainless steel pot that has the electronics in it, that all came out of a portable refrigeration unit called the Ingle. So it's like an ice chest that's got a compressor built into it. And so I had to cut some foam out when and insulation when I put that in. And it was real interesting because normally nowadays this insulation foam comes in a spray can, and you're going to fill up a cavity. You'll drill a hole down in the bottom, and then the caddy corner, like if you're going to fill all this with foam, and this was a wall here, you'd drill a hole down in the bottom corner, another one maybe up here in the top corner, then you'd squirt that stuff in. It's like aerosol, and it goes in and it expands, and you just keep filling it all in one shot. Just keep going as it fills it up, and then it'll start oozing out the top hole. That's why you want the top hole, so air will come out, and because the foam's displacing the air. And then as the foam starts oozing out the top hole, you know it's full. But this boat was built in 1975 in Taipei, Taiwan. And when I cut out some of this insulation foam, I was finding these paper cups. They were measuring cups. They were like paper cups that you drink out of. like maybe a 10-ounce cup or 12-ounce cup, and it had measurements on the sides and ounces, which was interesting in English, and ounces, and it had a little stirring stick in them, and these were all embedded in the foam. So what they did was they took the foam, which was a liquid, they poured it in this cup, and I guess they put in some kind of catalyst, and they mix it all up like that, and then they set the cups inside the area where they want the foam, and then the foam starts to just expand and ooze out of those paper cups, and they'll ooze out of the paper cups, and they'll fill up the cavity. And so that's how the foam was put in this boat. It was really interesting. And so those paper cups were from 1975. I should have at least kept one of them, but I ain't got room on a boat to keep stuff like that. But it was kind of cool. So, at any rate, yeah, everything's clear now. So I should be able to get that piece of paneling in here. So I just got to cut it down now. So just like before, same thing. So this is the panel. It's kind of like one of those whiteboards that you draw on. I think you could probably use it for one of those. And so it's just compressed wood. It's, it's composite. As long as this stays dry in here, this won't be a problem. But if this gets wet, it may fall apart over time. But it's usually pretty dry in here. This one side I did have a leak, but I think I took care of it. I haven't seen it getting wet down in here since I fixed it. So it should stay dry, so it should be okay. It may not last forever. Okay, now I'm gonna see how much of this I can get in there. I'm gonna have to cut it off going the other way. So I want it as long as I can make it, but it's gonna have to fit through this opening. So I don't know if it's gonna be, I hope it's long enough to cover the part I want covered. If it's a little high and the bottom part's not covered, that won't matter at all. But any rate, so it's gonna have to be like this, and I'm gonna have to go up at an angle. So this is gonna tell me right where I need to cut it. I'm gonna cut it at about 25 1/4, and it's not gonna cover that whole area that I need covered, but I'm gonna cover from the bottom of it, the part that needs to be covered, up towards the top. The top's gonna be not covered, but that's where I had that vent hole drilled in. And so what I'm going to do is I'll just get a vent cover, like you get it at hardware supply place for your house, for your air conditioning, one of those kind of vents covers, and just cover over that top area, and that should look fine. And that'll keep anything from falling that way up on top, and it'll leave air space and ventilation for my refrigeration compressor and condenser. So yeah, it looks like it'll work out good. So I'm just going to go ahead now and cut it the other direction and see if it'll fit. I may go 26 inches and see if I can squeeze it in there, and then if that doesn't work, I'll have to cut it down some more, but at least I'll get it down in size to where I can start seeing what I need to do. It's just a little long to deal with right now, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it at 26 inches. See if it fits in here. I don't believe it. Just right. I don't think I could have cut it any closer. I could have bent it a little bit, maybe made it in a ½ inch longer, but so at any rate, it's 26 inches long by 20 and a half, and I think it's going to work out fine. I thought about putting cedar paneling in here, and it would have looked nice. It wouldn't have been that hard to do, but quite a bit more work than what I'm doing here. It would have looked nice, but it would have been real dark in there. And I like white because I want to put LED lighting in here that I can change colors. So If I want it to be red light in here, it can be red or blue or green or yellow or whatever, purple, whatever color I want. And I get tired of one color, I can change it to another. So I kind of want this boat to be like Disneyland when I'm done with it. So that's it for today. Next week, I'm going to put in the little bars that are going to hold the shelves up along the sides and the back of the cabinet, and then I'm going to build shelves. Maybe next week I'll have this pretty much done, I'm hoping. I just need to get it done. I'm tired of dealing with this, and it'll be so nice to have my galley table here cleaned off and a place to sit. And I mean, I have another place I normally sit on the boat. It's down in the main cabin here. That's my main spot where I sit. But it'll be nice to have this up here. 4 people can sit up here and eat. And it's high up. I kind of have like a sunken living room on this boat. So this is the higher part. The galley's higher up. And I can see out the windows on the sides. I can open up the curtains and sit at this table and actually see out. So that's going to be real nice. And I can, do eat food and sit here and, go online or whatever. I do editing right here at the table. And so at any rate, if this was helpful or at least entertaining, please like and subscribe.